Alright guys, Vol here, and back by popular demand, it's the Tomb Kings. Wow. 8th edition, and Tomb Kings really got shafted. I don't really want to spend too much time on why Tomb Kings are bad. I'll just go through the really basic things. Chariots were good in 7th, but now when they charge in, they can't wipe you out in one round of combat because of Steadfast. And of course, with enemy getting strikebacks rather than you taking out the whole front rank, you get hit back pretty badly. You can't really march block people anymore, so just hanging back and hitting with the catapult and all the arrows isn't really such a viable strategy. And the enemy just has all these cool bits and pieces which really devastate you now. So unfortunately, Tomb King's tactics don't really come to the play. That's just a scratch of the surface really as to why Tomb Kings are bad. But yeah, Tomb Kings announced for later in the year. Don't really care that much. I'll keep my army around, won't sell them. But here I am in Vagabonds in Takapuna and in Auckland, having a game against my buddy Henry, who I played in the FluffyCon tournament recently. You guys might remember Game 3 of FluffyCon earlier on, where I think might have been Game 2, can't quite remember. Game 3 against Henry, he had his Wyvern. Anyway, this particular matchup, 2,400 points versus 2,400 points. There's a tournament coming up next weekend called Equinox, which I will not be taking Tomb Kings to, obviously, but Henry's attending with his Orcs and Goblins, so he's practicing with his dead hard tournament list, and I've just scrounged up a list which I can with my models. Now, Tomb Kings, if you do really just want to have them in 8th, what you should do is take a couple of units of 25 Tomb Guard. For some stupid reason, you can't take more than that in one unit due to the rulebook, and you Shabti maybe, take a catapult, at least one catapult. If you can get away with 2 of the tournament your attending lens allows you to take 2, then great. And take plenty of magic, probably put a wizarding hat on the king so that he can take a particular lore. In fact, going to the next photo, while I was in the store, Henry actually sold me a dice. It was an 8-sided dice, which I used to randomize the lore which my Tomb King had from his wizarding hat. Here you can see the top part of my list with my my characters loadout, and I've rolled up Shadows, which is awesome. I took the Withering and Malkoth's Mystifying Miasma, which was actually a mistake. I probably should have kept Enfeebling Foe, since I rolled a 3 and a 4. But as you can see, I've got a Lich Priest with a Casket of Souls. I know you guys dearly miss the casket. I do miss the casket as well, but make this the only game that you will see the casket back again for a long time, unless they somehow really good in the next book. But this is where it's going. Shadows and the Tomb King. Let's have a look. Next photo after that, you can see the crux of my deployment here, the Casket of Souls. Souls. Behind the Tomb Guard here with the King. I've taken the classic Tomb Prince with the Great Weapon, and he's just leading the archers for now, and a big unit of Fast Cav with my Hierophant packing it out the back, and some chariots. Man, the chariots suck. I've got to find some way of using the chariots in this game, probably just as bait or as just trying to wither the enemy down a little bit before I commit the Tomb Guard. Next photo, here's Henry's army, a much more formidable army. It's got a couple of chariots, although I told him I reckon he should drop the chariots for the tournament because the chariots aren't so good in 8th. Really, you've got to be able to grind the enemy down so much than get one good round of impact hits out. So the points there could probably be spent better on, maybe more trolls or more war machines or whatever he can take. He's got 2 big blocks of 30 orcs with chopper shield. He's got plenty of characters, plenty of war machines, two rock robbers and a doom diver is pretty good. 6 trolls and 4 units of fast cav. The 1 unit of fast cav not pictured here is on his extreme left flank. Next image, so he's just bunkered down here. He's actually got 3 wizards in his army or something awesome. So that was quite cool. Somehow he managed to pick up the first turn and destroy one of his wizards in the first go due to a miscast, but of course landing Gork's Warpath all over my guys, which didn't really help very much. But yeah, that's Orcs for you. Going to the next image, he's sweeping right around here with his dogs as well. So, when I say dogs, I mean Goblin Wolf Riders. That's what he's using this unit of Warhounds to represent. But swinging right around there so that he's not looking at the casket, but he can also charge the catapult in the flank there. Next image, I've responded here by just moving the chariots around, and fortunately, what I was able to do here was actually declare charges against his fast cav and then redirect and force him to just keep running away with everything. So that sort of eliminated the threat of his cavalry units around the side of the flank, because they are fleeing at this point. Not terribly worried about his chariots. I've put down a couple of coins. You can see one on the hill on the top right field, one on the next to the chariot in the bottom right, next to his finger is. That's where the scorpions are going to tunnel up. Decided to go for tunneling this time, maybe for character assassination or war machine assassination, but in hindsight probably would have been better to actually keep them bolstering the front line and helping out with the Tomb Guard. They've got Stomp, which is quite nice. Thunderstomp would have been even better, but Stomp will have to live with it. Next image, the Tomb Kings roaring out here, and what's left of the carrion after being hit by Gork's warpath hiding behind the building. One unit of chariots hitting the goblins, and the reason I did that was to, first of all, reduce the number of goblins that I'd actually have to kill before I could break the steadfast with the Tomb Guard, and also to delay his trolls there. If his trolls were to just attack the flank of the chariots there, I could just attack them the next turn with the Tomb Guard, and it will give me time to raise back my Tomb Guard as well, with having lost some of them from one of his offensive spells over there as well. But unfortunately, first round, Tomb King getting cranking out with his awesome magic phase in combination with the actual incantations phase, managed to miscast and lose his 2 magic levels, which was stupid. I was really looking forward to dishing out some Wizarding Hat goodness with the King, but unfortunately was not to be. Lost both magic levels in the spells straight away, which sucked. But the Casket of Souls doing its thing, like it does every game, wiping out his war machines, killing his fast cav, doing wounds on his infantry. Just gotta love that thing. It's awesome every single time. And an 8th is actually not too bad if the enemy's got war machines and fast cav. It's a great way of dishing out the pain. And of course, because it's not a leadership check as such, because you're rolling the dice and subtracting their leadership, they don't get a reroll. Next image, what's left of my chariots are on the side here, just trying to flank around. I'm really not dedicating these chariots to doing anything much but protecting my flanks against his fast cav and leaving them in positions where they can actually affect the middle of the field later on in the game and maybe supply a bit of flank charging perhaps. Next image, what you've got here is the trolls countercharging against the chariots which are engaged against the goblins. Unfortunately, the netting has really been annoying with the Tomb King chariots losing their impact hit strength, but trolls doing what they do best and dishing out the punishment on the chariots. And managing to destroy these guys. I was really hoping that he was going to kill them all but one, maybe, and then I could charge the Tomb Guard into the flank of the trolls. That would have been brilliant, but unfortunately his dice rolling was a bit too good there, or mine was too bad, depending on how you look at it, and I lost all the chariots. So, yeah, a bit of a gambit, didn't pay off. Next image. He's actually managed to get his warhounds into, his Goblin Wolfriders into combat with the Scullipult, which unfortunately has been reduced to just 1 wound, and he managed to knock that wound off. What had happened is he'd actually biffed it with his own rock lobber, managing to do 2 wounds on it. Nearly killed it, but then the Wolf Riders came in to polish it off, and he stomped my fast cav here, and I've left with only 6 members, just trying to revive them with the Hierophant, but the Hierophant was really just trying to knock off some wounds off the Wolf Rider unit. Only managed to pick off 1, unfortunately, otherwise maybe I would have panicked them away. Next photo, he's sending his orcs on either side of the building. He's got 1 big unit ready to engage the Tomb Guard later in the game after they've dealt with the trolls, and the other unit heading around the building there, which could be a pain because he's got Wa up his sleeve, which will obviously give him a big bonus movement to really get around and start packing it into the archers there. Next image, I've managed to deal with the Wolf Riders at this point, but the Scullipult has been lost. I've lost the chariots. The Tomb Guard have been revived, fortunately, with incantation of summoning or whatever it is, and I made a critical mistake here, one which actually probably affected the game quite a lot, which was to turn my archers around so they could shoot at the Wolf Riders, which were previously in front of the casket. So in this photo, the block of archers is actually facing the casket, but in the background there, he's got his orcs, which aren't actually able to charge their way through the tower, but what he could do, and I didn't realise this, is that he can actually move and march his way around past the tower and then use Wa to charge the back of the archers, and because it's a rear charge, it means I'm not really going to last a couple of rounds there as I would have normally hoped I could have, and then raised them back. So that kind of sucked, but let's have a look at the next photo anyway. The chariots have dealt with all the fast cavalry on this flank. I've got a couple of chariots right here, around here, to just distract the bullboy chariots until the scorpions show up. Unfortunately, I failed both scorpion, attempts to bring them on the board in my second turn and the third turn as well. So it would have been nicer if I'd been a bit lucky there to get the scorpions in to help affect the game, but I had to do with what I could. And the chariots on the left-hand side of the photo just getting ready to rear charge the goblins after they decide to flank my tomb guard there. Next image, this is how it goes down. So the tomb guard have pursued the trolls away and haven't managed to create a new combat against the orcs. And now we're in a position where I'm going to get flank charged and front charged by a unit of orcs with a Black Orc war boss on foot, no less, but also an orc shaman there, level 2. So hopefully we'll be able to pick them off. I brought the tomb prince into the tomb guard unit as well, so it's a full strong unit with 2 combat characters. Hopefully should manage to hold the center there. Next image though, he charges in with everybody and he gets Wah off, which was really annoying because he gets rerolls to hit and strikes first. So in fact, winning the combat quite nicely. I did manage to pick off his shaman, but the 2 lord level characters here, the war boss and the king, not really doing any damage. Well, not enough damage to each other to kill each other. And the tomb guard will need some supportive magic very shortly because it's going to get very choppy. Next image, here he goes. He's moving his orc boys around the tower, and of course this is the photo taken before the Wah goes off. So the Wah brings him into the rear of the skeleton warriors, and the tomb guard having to fight for their lives in the middle. Next photo shows you what's happened here. I've actually been forced to move the Hierophant away so that I get at least one turn before his orcs chop through the skeletons and the fast cav there, but unfortunately the skeletons aren't going to last another round like they would have if I'd managed to have them kept turn around. In fact, after I lost that combat, I even failed my Unbreakable leadership check on a 10 to reform. Unbreakable units get to reform on their own leadership, and it just didn't work because I rolled an 11, so that's another stroke of bad luck. Otherwise I might have tried reviving enough of them to last them another round against the orcs. In the centre, though, the Tomb Guard, although they've been reduced to about 11 models, including characters, they've got some help here because the chariots have charged the rear of the goblins, which should be able to wipe them out. And the orcs, should lose on combat res after that happens as well. Managing to wipe out the shaman was a good start, and the next step is to try and killing blow his war boss. So next photo, what's happened here is that chariots have wiped out the goblins and have pursued them, and unfortunately they had to pursue away from where the Tomb Guard were because the night goblins flee from the Tomb Guard, and then the chariots pursue that way, and now he's got a couple of chariots showing up. I've managed to get one Tomb Scorpion on the board, but the other one still isn't even there. So perhaps a Tomb Scorpion in the flank of the orcs might help. And speaking of orcs, I have managed to killing blow his war boss, which is awesome, and reduces his unit number to about 17. Next photo, the Hierophant has moved even further away. Luckily, he hasn't really got any operational war machines to threaten him, but unfortunately the orcs in the front there are going to crush my fast cav as well, but at least they aren't killing any characters, and at this point I've actually got all of my characters alive, and he's only got a couple of his alive. So it's possible for me to maybe take this game if I destroy the center group and keep all my characters alive there. Going to the next image, you can see here that he's actually moved his chariot around the other side of the orc boys, and then he's cast Wah again on a double 6. I'm getting sick of that. And the chariot comes into the Tomb Guard and rolls a 1 for impact hit, still killing a couple of guys, so making enough of a difference because he gets the charge bonus and a couple of kills. And the orcs obviously slaying me with Wah again with their rerolls, which is just, unbelievable. So next photo, what you see here is he's actually wiped out all of the Tomb Guard except for the king. The prince has been destroyed. My Hierophant's been killed as well due to something or other, maybe a spell or the war machine, I can't remember, Doom Diver, I can't remember. But his orc boys have turned around and getting ready to charge my king in the last turn of the game. And the scorpions have finally showed up to actually eliminate these orc boys. But if you go to the next photo, this is it. So that this final Tomb King's round in turn 5 or whatever it was, the king kills several of them, the scorpions kill several of them, and I stomp them to death, bring them down below 5 members so that they don't get steadfast, and the scorpions ran them down. So that's the last remnants of points that I could possibly get. But in the next photo, and this is the last photo of the game, the orcs charge the Tomb King, and his BSB, Black Orc BSB, steps up for the challenge. And what happens is that he attacks me first because I've got a great weapon, he does no wounds, and then I strike back. And we calculated that if the king was to get 4 wounds on him, and he didn't have any ward saves, so it's 3s to hit, 2s to wound, if I got all of them off, it would have meant that he'd have lost his +1 for the BSB. He'd have, what, a banner, 2 ranks and a charge, that's 4 wounds, and I would have had 4 wounds as well. Musician would have meant that I'd lost combat by 1, but the king would have survived, and that would have been the last round of the game. I would have picked up the BSB's points plus another 100, and it would have allowed me to win, because I'd have had 2 characters left on the board, and 2 scorpions, some chariots, whereas he would have had just 1 unit of orcs and 1 war machine, I think, and that would have been it, maybe 1 chariot. But what actually happened is I fluffed my dice roll, and the Tomb King scored 0 hits, and I died. So, great job to my opponent. Orcs win the game predictably, but it was close, and I did my best with the Tomb Kings. Hope you guys enjoyed, and maybe we'll see Tomb Kings on the field later in the year, but no promises. Thanks, guys.